Today's video deals with milling logs into usable timber, or into usable lumber. And here's my little Husqvarna 455 wrencher. Not the greatest, but it does the job. Here's the piece of wood that I'm going to be using as an example. Now what I've done is I've taken a 2x4, but you can use whatever width of board you need and whatever length, depending on the job you're doing. It's up to you. Now what I've done is I've nailed the board on one end of the log, and then the other end I'm going to finish nailing it. What I did was I centered the board reasonably onto the log, and what I'm going to do is with the chainsaw, I'm going to use the factory teeth to grab onto the log to help cut as my guide. I will run those, or the teeth, along the edge here until I get to the end. Then I'll do the same on the other side. So the width of the board will help to determine the width of your final product when you're cutting like this. A 2x4 will give you, depending on what you use as your guide on the saw, an equivalent size log, or timber I should say. If you're using a 2x4, you'll get that. If you're using a 2x6, you'll get that. And if you're using a 2x8, well, you get roughly that. So what I'm going to do, as you can see, I did a little freehand cutting earlier. That's going to be discarded once I start cutting with the saw. But what I'm going to do is I'll start my, or finish hammering, start my cut, and I'll show you from there. Now the reason why I do multiple passes is personal, because I find if I try and go too much at once through and do a whole cut, I end up with, I don't know if you can see it on that one, but it isn't straight, and I get a lot of I don't know if you can see the ridge there. I get ridges, I get a few bows, and more ridges, and a very bad end cut. That's why I do multiple passes. And that was done using this. That's actually the running boards off my truck. Had to do body work on them. Took them off the truck. My wife liked it better without, so essentially I've used running boards as my 2x4 over a long period or a long distance. So once you got cut like that on both sides, you just take your 2x4, nail it along here, 2x4, 2x6, whatever you're using, and then you can do 2 cuts along the side. So depending what the cost of a 2x4 is in your area, say for about $15 plus 2 nails, you've made something that you can run your chainsaw along to cut logs into timbers. And the harder the wood, the longer it takes. But that's why we watch YouTube, isn't it? So we can learn how to do these things on our own. Alright, there you go.